Hi, this is Jacob with PCTechGuide.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at Nova Backup. We're going to do a brief overview and then an actual in-depth overview of the product here. So briefly, Nova Backup offers a wide range of data backup options to back up all your data. This is great software to use for not only home users but business users too as well. What Nova Backup allows you to do is actually full image backups of your hard drive, so all your programs, all your files, your user settings and everything, basically your whole entire hard drive can be backed up and easily restored in case of a data crash. There's multiple different backup options that you have too as well. You have your standard backup options. So if you wanted to just back up not your operating system, but just let's say your documents or emails, pictures, and musics, you can do that very easily. It has a really nice restore wizard. It has a online backup option too as well. That's really nice. The online storage backup does cost more money unless you have your own FTP server. You can use that. Otherwise, it gives you multiple options of what services you can use, but that is an additional cost, but it's nice that it's there. So in case you're a business and you have your files that, yeah, you want to back them locally, but you also need to back those up off-site. You know, what happens in case of water or fire or something like that, you need to be able to recover that data. It's very easy to recover your data. Let's say your hard drive does actually crash. What you can do is you can actually just hit the restore button and either reinstall a new hard drive and reinstall Nova Backup on it, or else you could use the restore disk that it has, and basically with that you can boot to the disk and then point to the image that's backed up and have it restore your computer using that too as well. All in all, it's very solid. It's fairly easy to use. It does have good documentation, and you may need to refer to it. I found that let's say you're going to actually schedule a backup. When you schedule a backup, it's not actually the easiest in the world. You first have to run a backup job, and then you have to, after the backup job's run, then you can go ahead and schedule it and schedule a backup. And I didn't like the fact that you had to go through that first, that you had to do a backup first. But all in all, it's very easy to use. We do give it 2 thumbs up. It's one of the better data backup programs out there. A lot of customizable options too for any advanced users out there. It's simple, yet has a lot of strong points to it. And now for the more in-depth overview, and this overview will probably take about 10 minutes because we're going to cover most of the features here on Nova Backup, so you can really look at the program and see if it's right for you before you make a purchase, and we'll also be showing you basically how to use the software. One of the first things you're going to do is once you install it, you're going to see something along this lines of this type of screen. If you do want an online storage service, you can choose it. It does cost extra money, and they do offer multiple things. Either NovaStar can recommend a partner out to you, and recommend a backup solution for you to use off-site, or you can use the Amazon online backup service. And the Amazon backup service is pretty cheap. You know, if you're doing, let's say, 40 gigs or something like that a month for storage space, you're looking at, I think, 11 cents a gig. So that's not bad at all. There are other online data backup programs out there, such as Mozy and Carbonite, and those are equal to this. I like Mozy. I'm more a preferential to Mozy just because their backup features are really, really easy, but that's an online backup and it does not do a full image backup like Nova Backup does. So I actually do use Nova Backup myself to back up my own personal computers as well as my business computer. And it does have the FTP option for you, so if you have an FTP server or server locally, or FTP access onto a server, you can actually back up your data onto that. The one downside is cannot have any single file over 2 gigs, and that's normally not an issue. The only time you're going to run into an issue possibly is with Outlook users, if your PST file is over 2 gigs. Now, for most, it's not, but if you've been in business for 10 years and your Outlook file is humongous like mine was before I chopped it down, that might pose a little bit of an issue. But all in all, it's really nice that they included it, and it does cost extra. You do have to pay extra if you want to use online storage, but it's worth it if you need an off-site storage. And we're going to dive in more into the features here in a second. I do want to cover the disaster recovery method because this is the part that you hope you never have to use. And actually create boot media. And basically is what this is going to do is once you actually run a backup on it, and let's say you run a backup, you save it to an external drive, never save your data onto the same drive you're backing up to, because if that hard drive fails, you lose your backup. So which is why I actually have an external drive that I purchased that I can back up all the data onto. And it was a 2 terabyte drive, cost me $80 at Best Buy. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and create a boot media, and with this disk, what's going to happen here is we're going to create a disk that we can actually boot to. So if we ever do suffer a data crash, we can just insert this bootable CD, and we can point it to the image that we already have backed up, and have it back up that image onto that new hard drive that we installed onto the computer. And this way it just makes it a lot simpler for you to recover your data. Otherwise, the only other way to do it would be to install a new hard drive, reload the operating system, reinstall Nova Backup, and then actually do a restore and use that option to select the media to recover your image. Best thing to do is just create that boot media. It's very easy to do. It's one I'd recommend, and Nova Backup makes it very easy to do. We're just going to select CD, go through. These are general options that you have, typical, advanced, or user specified. I just stick with the typical. Next. You're going to actually select the drive you want to back it up to, and then just hit next and actually burn that bootable media. Pretty much all data backup programs do have that option that offer a full image backup, and Nova Backup isn't any different. It works really, really well. The boot media is easy to use. Now once you have that done, now's the time to actually run a backup. And after you do run your first backup, after that you can then schedule backups. But you have to run your first backup first before you can actually schedule a backup. I don't like that myself. I want to be able to just schedule a backup without having to choose a backup plan first, but it's the way it's set up. One nice thing I like over here is it actually shows the recent job. So we'll look at my recent job on 12/15, and that's actually going to tell me all the data that was backed up, where it was backed up to, if it was successful, if it wasn't successful. It actually gives me a log of what it wasn't successful down here. And it tells me basic things of when the job started, when it was ended. I got a bigger backup right here that I did the other day. As well as a really easy, simple view right here. It tells me my next scheduled job is going to be on 12/21, so I know that it's going to run at 12/21 at 2:09 a.m. So let's go ahead and look at the backup options that you have here. You have the option to back up your entire drive, and basically it's going to do a full, complete snapshot of everything you have on your C drive. This is where your operating system most likely is located, along with all your files. And the purpose of doing an entire drive backup is in case that hard drive crashes, you don't have to reinstall any of your programs, any of your custom settings, your user accounts. Everything that's currently on your computer will be there again. So that's what's really important with data backup programs, is to allow that. A lot of them do not. A lot of them are just basically the personal backups. Allows you just to choose the folders you want to back up to. Now you can choose that option, and I actually recommend that some people make 2 backups. One, an entire snapshot of your drive, and then a separate backup of actual just your personal files, your personal documents and folders and the like. And the reason for having 2 backups is basically because you may not want your old operating system. Let's say the hard drive crashes, and you know what, honestly, I bought a new computer, I want to install new programs fresh on it. All I want is all my personal files. So you don't have to reload an entire image onto it. You have the option of just choosing all your personal files that you had from before. That's why I personally would do 2 backups. Why not, if you have the space, right? And then as far as the options, you can do a full backup, which is backup every file selected, or you can do a modified backup. And a modified backup basically is going to back up only modified files in the section. So what I would recommend is you just do the modified backup, because the first backup you're going to run is going to back up everything anyways, because there aren't any modified files. Everything is new, because this is the first backup you're doing. And then next time when the actual project runs, is what it's going to do is it's going to do the differential or modified backup. So it's going to back up all the files that changed, but skip all the ones that haven't changed. And here is where you're going to choose your actual storage selection. And this is pretty common with all data backup programs. I'm going to hit backup, and basically you're going to select the drive you want to back it up to. And in my case, this is my external drive, Free Agent GoFlex hard drive. I would there, and then you can create a new folder if you wanted to, and you can just call it backup 1 or full backup, whatever you want to call it, full backup. And then select that folder. Boom, hit OK. I'm going to hit next. And here it shows you everything that it will back up. Now, my C drive is actually my E drive too as well, because I have that single drive into 2 partitions. And honestly, I don't want anything on my E drive. I just want my C drive backed up. Now, you could, if you wanted to, create both of them into that same image and back them both up. Personally, I back up my C drive separately than my other drives. And everything on your C drive will be selected automatically. And if you didn't want something, you can unselect it. I'm going to go ahead and go next. And now you can say run my backup now, run my backup later, or save and close. If I wanted to, I could say run my backup later. And then right here, I can actually schedule it. So I can say, okay, run the backup weekly at 12:15, 6 p.m. at night. I recommend you actually choose a time that you're not going to be on the computer. That way it's not going to slow down your performance. And it can do a full backup for you even if you are using your computer. So even if you're using those files, it can still do the backup. I don't personally recommend it, but it can do it, and it's did it for me successfully every time I've run it so far. It does take up a little bit more system resources when that backup's going on. That's why I recommend you just schedule it for a time that it's not going to run for you. And I would actually do this backup. If you're going to do a full image backup, I'd probably do it weekly and schedule it for the AM hours and repeat every however many weeks, every 1 week repeat. And then you can just go ahead and hit finish, and then the next day I would actually recommend, honestly, that you back it up weekly, but go ahead and set the backup so it runs for that night or that day. That way the next day you can look at it and ensure the backup did back up for you. Now just to cover a few more features for you, so you can go ahead and switch to the advanced view at the bottom. And over at the advanced view you get a little bit more options, and you're going to notice a few things changed up on top too as well. You'll see that it does have a virus scanner, so it actually can scan for the viruses on your computer. As it's backing it up, it can run through the virus scan to see if anything is infected with a virus. Personally, I generally turn this option off just because I have antivirus software and I just want it to do the full image backup. Just basically makes things a little faster, not a whole lot faster, but just a little bit when it's backing up files. You also have an option to import media, to open any previously saved job, to actually run a job now, whatever job that may be that you want to run. You can have your online storage option, which is on that first page anyways. The copy wizard, actually, so you can copy, let's say, your image onto another drive or copy it wherever you want. So if you already have an image you created, you can actually just copy that image onto DVDs for an offsite backup if you wanted. Here we're going to have the same backup wizard. And I do like it how it has smart selection, and this is where I was mentioning where, yeah, I back up my entire C drive, but then I also back up my files separately. So I'll just select everything under my documents because that's what I want backed up. I'm actually going to select the drive of where I want to back that up to, and I can go ahead and hit run, and it's going to back all that data up for me. Now, I did wish that they would just put the schedule on the home page so you can schedule it without running a backup, or at least put the schedule down here. It is up here up on top under the advanced view. You can just hit schedule, and what it's going to do is it's going to open up the schedule. And right here I can see that when my backup was last run, if I wanted to edit it, just hit edit, and you can edit any of the selections you wanted. And you can add the schedule, and I don't like how this is done actually because I have to add, and then it says select job to schedule. I actually have to find the job and then select the job and then tell it when to back it up. And I would prefer just to, when it says schedule, for me to just to go through basically that same backup options we went through before, and me select all the backup options and then schedule that job. But no, I have to go and actually already have that job script created for me. You should be able to do it here, and that's something I don't like, but it works. They also do have an option of run it as the administrator, basically as any user you want. So if you wanted to run it as a specific user, let's say an admin with admin rights to all the files on that computer, this is where you can select it and actually enter it in and check their credentials to make sure that the password you're typing in is the right password. Check credentials. Invalid credentials. I entered the wrong password, so boom. The way the schedule works is about my only complaint about Nova Backup. Otherwise, it's fairly easy to use. It has great help documentation online. You can actually check for updates, license registration, help topics, help on the web, product information. It has a 130-page guide telling you exactly how to use the product. I really like it. It goes through it all. And we can see here I ran a history of all my jobs that I did. And these, it'll show, let me show you a failed log, and it'll show you what failed out here. And this was actually, I do a lot of virus testing, and this was actually a virus right there. So that's why I aired out. But this is where you'll see the error logs if it failed on anything, and it'll be in red so you know that, hey, something possibly went wrong. Let's take a look at that current job I have running. If you recall, I started my documents backup. I can go under the status and I can see that current job running. I can hit the stop button to stop that backup. It tells you basically what's going on, how much has been copied, how much time is left. The last thing I actually want to take a look at is the restore feature, which you can get to under the advanced tab of just restore, or you just hit the restore wizard, or the disaster recovery wizard. Either one would work. So I want to restore something, just hit restore, open. And with the restore wizard, I can go ahead and get next. I can find my full image and actually run a backup there. Another way to actually restore smaller pieces of data is under the restore wizard. Close that down. Let's go ahead and do the restore wizard. And with this is what I can do is I can actually view my backups. So here is my full backup, or I want the smaller backup. Yep, and this is my backup right here, and this is for the files that I just recently backed up. Nope, I was wrong. Right here, my media. So this is the backup that I just ran, and we're going to see that it backed up the documents folder. And in here, let's say there was only one document that I wanted, and I didn't want everything. I accidentally deleted one folder. I deleted my BBC Tools folder. So what I can do is I can just select that exact folder and say that's actually what I want to back up. Let me back up something smaller, or restore something small. Yeah, this looks pretty small right here. So instead of selecting everything in all my files, I just want this folder because this is the folder I accidentally deleted on my machine permanently. I couldn't get it back from the recycle bin. I can hit next. And this is a really great option because you can choose no, do not overwrite existing files. So if this was, I was trying to recover a document that I had prior to changing it, I changed it and I didn't like all the changes, I never saved the original, I can go ahead and back up or export that file to a different location, a new location, or to the original location that it was at, and I can choose to overwrite the existing files or not overwrite the existing files. This is really nice because it basically gives you all the options you would want for how you want to restore that file. So in this circumstance, I'm just going to choose an alternate location. I'm going to browse to a new location. I'm just going to select the desktop. I'm going to make a new folder. I'm just going to call it temp. And back that up there. Hit next. And I can choose to schedule it or just run it now. And I actually have my other backup going right now, so I cannot do that, but it's what I can do. So I can check the status. And yeah, that one's currently running. So, but basically that's how it is used. I've used it to restore multiple times, multiple files. It works really well. And that is the in-depth overview of Nova Backup end result. We like it. We do recommend it. It's a great product. I found the user interface could have been a little bit better, but all in all, for a data backup software, they've really simplified it. They haven't put in any really super complex terms, and chances are, unless you are a technical individual, you won't be using a lot of like creating the scripts to run the backup over a network or do any of the super complicated things. However, it does have many options for advanced users, so that's really nice. But simple enough so the average user can use it. It has very good online documentation. Within the first 30 days, this is important to mention, within the first 30 days you do have free support for the product. So if you do have issues of trying to install the product, trying to set up your backup, they can actually help you out and help get you it scheduled and get you going on your way. Once you have scheduled everything, it's pretty much set it and forget it. You don't have to look at it anymore. I would recommend you open it up once or twice a month just to make sure that your backups are still going, that everything is green over here, that your next job is still scheduled. But other than that, it's very simple to use. I compare it to the Acronis backup software. It's definitely at least equivalent, if not better than that. I'm a big fan. And that is it, and hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.